Yeah, and that's the fine art of the whole thing.
Yep,
So,
true.
all right, so you and your brother do this for 20 some odd years. You end up selling the firm on to Citadel. You started seeing a big transition happening there, right? Where there were fewer traders in the pit and more of these institutions getting in high frequency. Tell me, how did that all change?
Yeah, well, that occurred over a very short period of time where all these firms, all of a sudden, they had a lot more capital. And instead of coming in with millions of dollars or even tens of millions of dollars, they're hitting the floor with $100 million. And it wasn't that they were dwarfing us with size. They were coming in and they were basically backing a whole bunch of quants to come up with algorithms and figure out, if I can make this computer go just 2 ticks faster, I can beat you guys on the floor with this computer. And the more they did that, the more that no matter what price I put up on the screen, I could make money for 3 weeks straight and they could take it away from me in 1 minute. Because if during that 1 minute something was moving fast and I couldn't stay ahead of it, their computer would just go, sold, 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 and just hit me on all of that in 1 minute, hundreds, if not thousands of times. And all of a sudden they vaporized 3 weeks worth of profits. So we knew we either had to go out and raise a couple $100 million or decide that, it's time to sell, go upstairs and become market takers instead of market makers. So that's what we did.
That was kind of a sad, that transition.
Oh yeah, really sad. And but Citadel was they were good to us. They paid a good price, and they took all of our. The only person they didn't take was the guy who wouldn't take the drug test. Everybody else they took. One of our guys was, a little too free and easy with various chemicals and refused to take their drug tests. They didn't take him, but they took everybody else.
Okay. And so you made that transition from downstairs to upstairs,
yes, sir.
Which a lot of guys didn't. A lot of guys, they rode it high, and in that movie you see they're big game hunting, they got all the money in the world. I mean, the thing is also is you would be done with your job at like 4 p.m, right?
Yeah.
So you got 8 hours to get into trouble with all of this money every day. I mean, it's a weird lifestyle that probably breeds addictive personalities and crazy things. But you made this transition to now be the guy upstairs who is now really thinking about the trades. And that's what you do even today. You look at the information, you call the shots. How did you do that?
Well, as we began transitioning, when we were looking to sell it to somebody, it ended up being Citadel. And they called me one day on the way as I was walking home and said, okay, we want to buy your firm today. And I'm like, done. And that's a longer story. We'll do it another time, Brian,
okay.
But that's a funny story. But as we are transitioning, that's when we're developing our own computer algorithms, that heat seeker that we talked about and so forth. And the machine is not just looking at IBM anymore. Now it's looking at all markets. And sort of like in Terminator, it became aware. It started figuring things out. And I'm not saying it was a neural network, but the more that we'd tweak it from what it was showing us, the more it could show us any stock, anytime. Here's where the traffic, here's where the buying patterns are, and here are the big, chunky institutional trades. Because I don't care what another retail trader is doing. There could be 200 retail traders all buying in Beyond Meat.
Right.
And
a retail is like an individual for people that don't know. It could be your mom or your dad or some retail person. You don't care about them.
I don't care. I love them, but I don't care about them to follow them.
Yeah.
I want to follow the guys like the Citadels. I want to follow the guys that have 200-person staff. They've got people going to every analyst conference across the country. They've got every new product introduction. They've got somebody in the back of the room on a cell phone. I want those guys. I'm not saying it's insider trading. Sometimes what our computer finds is likely insider. Most of the time, it's people that have the money to spend to send somebody to the Goldman Sachs conference, the Cowen conference, the Bank America Merrill conference, to any of these conferences where, whether it's healthcare, whether it's biotechnology, whether it's casino gaming, cannabis, whatever it is, somebody is out there at one of these conferences for that firm. And so whether it's Carl Icahn or whether it's Warren Buffett himself, they all leave footprints when they're buying because their buys aren't retail size. They're not the public that you and I are talking about.
Right.
These are big elephants. And when those guys buy, they try to hide it. They try to hide it by spreading it between, now there's 23 different options exchanges.
Right.
When I started, there were 4. Now there's 23. Most of them are all electronic. There's no human being to call and say who did that. But the computer sees it nonetheless, and it reassembles the data, so it lets us know, John, 50 trades happen spread across, all 23 exchanges, and somebody looks like they're trying to hide, the fact that they just bought 5,000 contracts. But they bought it by doing 50 separate trades like this, hoping that you didn't see it. And I wouldn't see it because, again, 7 million transactions per second. Spielberg can make you think, Brian, that a dinosaur or that dog is running alongside us at 30 frames a second. Imagine what you could do if you could do 7 million frames a second. Everything would look real.
Right.
Because you can't see it. There's no flicker. It's just going by so fast that you can't see it. It's like, a light. You're just staring into a light. You can't see it. The computer sees all of it. And so we've got co-located servers in each of these data centers, pulling this data to us, telling us what's going on. And in the early days after we sold to Citadel, we used that just for our own trading.
Hi, it's Brian Rose from London Real, and I've just sat down with Jon Najarian, legendary options trader, Hall of Famer, and TV celebrity. You might know him as host of CNBC's Halftime Report, or from his books, How I Trade Options and The 22 Rules of Investing.
I think there's just so much information in options that isn't available in stock. I think it's all about leverage and defining your risk. And if you can do those 2 things, I think you can be in this game a long time and make money.
Well, in just a few days, Jon will finally reveal what made him a legendary options trader. In a private broadcast that won't be available on YouTube or anywhere public, he'll show an exclusive group of people how he's been using special infrastructure that's only available to institutional investors. Something that allows him to get a critical piece of information directly from the market exchanges. Information that can tip you off about big market moves a few days before they happen.
We built this algorithm that looked for unusual trading patterns in the market. Once you find those patterns, then it makes it a lot easier to coattail on the smart money.
Now, as a former Wall Street banker myself, I am super excited to share this investment strategy for the very first time. As the host of this episode, I'm able to offer you exclusive rights to a seat at his free training. But you must act now to secure your place. So click on the link below or go to londonreal.tv/options to lock in your spot. And I will see you there.